Washington, former President Donald Trump's lawyers will be trying to convince a federal judge in Florida Thursday to dismiss special counsel Jack Smith's classified documents case against him. Judge Aileen Cannon is set to hear arguments on two motions filed by Trump, one that says the former president is shielded from prosecution by a federal record-keeping law, and another that claims one of the charges presents numerous open legal questions. It will be the second hearing in as many weeks when Trump's team and prosecutors in Smith's office face each other in Cannon's courtroom. Smith charged Trump with 32 counts of unlawfully retaining classified government records after he allegedly took documents from the White House during the presidential transition. The former president and two aides are also accused of engaging in a scheme to obstruct investigations. All three have pleaded not guilty and denied wrongdoing. In one of several motions to dismiss filed late last month, Trump argued that the case should be tossed because as president, he had unreviewable discretion to make any document personal in nature. His attorneys contend that the Presidential Records Act preclude judicial review over his record-keeping. President Trump was still the President of the United States when, for example, many of the documents at issue were packed, presumably by the GSA, transported, and delivered to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's team argued in its filing. Past precedent should have prevented prosecutors from opening a criminal investigation in the first place, they said, which would also disqualify the obstruction charges he faces. That argument is wrong, the special counsel wrote in a filing of his own, telling Cannon the sensitive government records Trump is accused of illegally retaining are indisputably presidential, not personal, and therefore belong to the government. After he left office, Trump was not authorized to possess classified records at all, let alone at unsecured locations at Mar-a-Lago, as the superseding indictment alleges, prosecutors wrote. The PRA does not exempt Trump from the criminal law, entitle him to unilaterally declare highly classified presidential records to be personal records, or shield him from criminal investigations, let alone allow him to obstruct a federal investigation with impunity. Trump has long claimed that he had a right to hold onto the records because of the federal government classification authority he held while he was president, but prosecutors alleged the federal government, from archivists to investigators, had undertaken a year-long effort to retrieve the missing documents. Trump returned 15 boxes of documents that included papers with classified markings in January 2022. A grand jury later issued a subpoena for records that yielded a handful more, according to investigators. Then the FBI executed a court-authorized search warrant at Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort that uncovered hundreds of sensitive records stored in unsecured locations. The special counsel's office cannot escape the import of the PRA's textual commitments of discretion and authority to President Trump during his first term, Trump's lawyers argued in a response Wednesday. The second motion that will be considered Thursday is based on Trump's contention that there are many open legal questions about the law known as the Espionage Act, which he has been accused of violating. Trump's lawyers argue the unsettled legal questions amount to an unconstitutional vagueness. Smith also rebutted this claim, writing in court papers, Trump's vagueness argument is meritless. Trump is charged with the unauthorized possession and willful retention of national defense information. The statute's prohibitions are clear. Trump and his co-defendants in the documents case have asked for hearings on other motions to dismiss filed last month, including on claims of vindictive prosecution and presidential immunity. Smith has opposed all of those motions and the question of presidential immunity. The latter issue will be considered by the Supreme Court next month in a separate case tied to Smith's 2020 election-related charges against Trump in Washington, D.C. That criminal trial is on hold until the High Court issues its ruling. Prosecutors say Trump's team is just trying to delay the trial in Florida, and argued the criminal proceedings should begin in July. Judge Cannon held a hearing on the trial schedule on March 1, but she has not yet ruled. The defense team claims a fair trial wouldn't be possible before the 2024 presidential election, but then offered an August or September date, should the judge deem it necessary to move forward with the trial. Thursday's hearing comes a day after a county judge in Georgia dismissed 3 charges against Trump as part of Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis's 2020 election interference case. The former president still faces other counts in that case. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Earlier this week, Cannon granted Trump's request for a 10-day extension to file additional paperwork tied to other motions to dismiss the case. Live TV. Elections. India. Trending. Latest. World. Video. Opinion. #18kavote. Web stories. Cities. Offbeat. South. Feature. Education. Science. People. Weather. Photos. TV schedule. Trending stories. 1. Why Parsis, Christians CAA eligible but not Muslims? Amit Shah explains. 2. Two poll commissioners picked, Congress says 6 names, 10 minutes before meet. 3. Remarkable, UN hails India life expectancy, per capita income rise. 4. Boeing expert claims MH370 was buried in an ocean trench by pilot. 5. Why BJP dropped 6-7 Delhi MPs as poll picks, but retained Manoj Tiwari. 6. U.S. parents arrested for raping teen daughter, claiming it was safer. 7. Center asks states to ban 23 breeds of ferocious dogs, checklist. 8. Arrested Telangana cop said he destroyed intel on his boss orders, sources. 9. Paytm gets third-party app license from Payments Authority. 10. Private planes, luxury hotels, Indian Americans multi-million-dollar scam. View more stories. Newsworld News Trump campaign donors $15 billion TikTok fortune at stake over ban bill. Trump campaign donors $15 billion TikTok fortune at stake over ban bill. The prospect that the app will be banned has thrust Jeff Yass, the trading mastermind behind market maker Susquehanna International Group, into an uncomfortable spotlight. As some of the harshest Republican critics of TikTok soften their stance on the China-backed social media app, one billionaire donor's name is ricocheting around Washington. The prospect that the app will be banned has thrust Jeff Yass, the trading mastermind behind market maker Susquehanna International Group, into an uncomfortable spotlight. That's because he owns a stake in TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, which is worth $15 billion, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, the largest single asset in his $40.8 billion fortune. Yass has used that wealth to become the biggest donor in the 2024 election cycle, with $46.4 million spent so far, mostly focused on the issue of school choice. He's also been mentioned as a possible candidate for Treasury Secretary along with hedge fund billionaire John Paulson and former U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer should Donald Trump win in November, according to people familiar with the matter. But with such a large chunk of Yass' fortune at risk, the registered libertarians' connections are now being closely watched, in particular whether they'll try to muster support to kill the bill passed Wednesday by the House of Representatives to ban the app in the U.S. unless ByteDance sells it. The clearest signal of a reversal came last week when Trump said he was opposed to the bill. That declaration came after he attended a donor event in Palm Beach, Florida, put together by the conservative organization Club for Growth, which counts Yass as one of its biggest backers. Trump said he hadn't discussed the issue with Yass in a subsequent interview with CNBC. Club for Growth has also dispatched former Trump aide Kellyanne Conway to lobby lawmakers to oppose the TikTok ban. Meanwhile, Vivek Ramaswamy went from calling the platform digital fentanyl to opening a TikTok account himself after a super PAC that supported his failed bid for the Republican nomination received money from Yass last year.